Well, that's why I switched. Oh,
Snow's coming.
Maggie, you do this first or the pledge? Or the pledge first? Okay, Ron.
No, the other way.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
As long as I pay attention, I'm sorry.
What an 18th day is that? You good?
I got it on, yeah, hold on.
So you're, is it okay to go? Okay. I'd like to call the January 12th, 2016 council meeting of the Borough of Raritan to order. Number 2, a statement of confirmation with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law. Notices of this meeting were sent to the Courier News and Star Ledger on January 7th, 2016. In addition, copies of the notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the Raritan Borough website, and filed in the office of the Borough Clerk. Notices of the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice has been given. The Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of the meeting. Roll call.
Councilman Bray.
Here.
Council President Kara. Councilwoman Danilo.
Here.
Councilman Fooey.
Here.
Councilman Giroux.
Here.
Councilman Seville.
Here. All right, please rise for the invocation. Bow your heads. Please meet us here today as we act to govern this community. Shall the spirit of respect and communication be ever present in this meeting? Enlighten our minds to know truth. Direct our wills to act in good judgment so that what we do and what we speak will be beneficial to our citizens, government, and most importantly, for the happiness, honor, and glory of all. Bless each of us. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 5 is the public comment section of the meeting, and I just want to read the authorization for that. In accordance with Section 29-1 of the Code of the Borough of Raritan, there shall be a 5-minute time limit per speaker. Is there anyone who'd like to make a comment, please? Hearing none, we'll close the comment section. Item 6 is the work session. And item 1 under Roman numeral 6 is the, would like to have Mr. Wemmer, please?
Yep, certainly, Mayor, thank you. All right, so, Council and Mayor, on the item agenda number 1 of the work session, we see Route 202 property unfit buildings. Lou Gara, who is the construction code official, has inspected this property located at Block 40, Lot 1, it's 104 2nd Avenue, and has submitted a letter to the mayor, myself. I think Dan was copied on this letter as well, and I don't know if you have a copy of that letter in your packet, but I'll just read to you the contents of Mr. Guerra's letter, and if the council so desires, after hearing what Mr. Guerra has to say about the condition of the property, if you would authorize me to file what's called a habitability complaint against the property. And what this is in section, chapter 113 of the Borough Code, it's called unfit buildings. You have the power, statutory power, and enacted through ordinance to file what's called a habitability complaint against the property. If the property is considered to be uninhabitable, it's got walls but no roof, it's got no plumbing, it's in the dilapidated state of condition, then you can issue a habitability complaint against the property. We notice the property owner, obviously. We also notice any lien holder who has an interest in that property. We serve them with a copy of the complaint, and we set a hearing date before you, the council, for the property owner and anyone who has an interest in the property to come forward. Mr. Guerra would be there at that time to present his findings, present evidence to the council regarding the condition of the property, opine as to whether he believes it to be uninhabitable or not. The property owner and lien holder would have an opportunity to respond and give their position regarding what how they feel like the property is, and what condition it is in. And then the council, if it chooses, can issue an order directing either the repair, demolition of the property, and if the property owner doesn't repair or don't demolish the property in accordance with the council's order, the council can then direct the town to do it. The borough would go ahead and then do it, and it would be a lien against the property, just like a municipal lien. So that's kind of, this is the first step, though, is the presentation of a property deemed to be unfit in the eyes of the building code official. So, Maggie, do they have a copy of this letter in their packet? Okay, so I'll just read you the letter then, just for the record, so you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to move forward with authorizing my office to file a habitability complaint. To Mayor and Council from Lou Garrett, construction official, regarding Block 40, Lot 1, 104 Second Avenue. The second floor and the roof of the above referenced building collapsed due to excessive loading on the structure caused by the accumulation of snow, ice, and water. A building permit was issued on March 18, 2014 to remove the second floor and roof and stabilize the remaining structure. Specifications were submitted by a New Jersey licensed architectural firm for the work. The work was completed and the building was stabilized on April 29, 2014. The building remains uninhabitable. There are no utilities connected to the building, and an application for permit to reconstruct the building has not been filed. I spoke with, or actually emailed Mr. Guerra, and I requested verification regarding the condition of the building itself. It's got 4 walls, is what it's got, okay? Doesn't have a roof, doesn't have a second floor, and in the statute, not just in our ordinance, but in the statute, that's per se uninhabitable. Even if it's structurally sound, that's an uninhabitable building. So if the council desires, you just authorize me by way of motion, and it's gotta be by way of resolution, but we can memorialize the resolution afterwards, of resolution 2016-1-22, authorizing my firm to file a habitability complaint against the property, and then we'll set a hearing date 30 days out and proceed accordingly.
All right, I'll make that motion for the habitability complaint. I have one quick question.
Second, we have to have a second, and we'll have a section, okay? So, motion by Councilman Sedalia, second?
Second.
By Councilman Giraldi, discussion, sorry.
My understanding it's involved in litigation between the tenants and the landlord. That doesn't affect.
Doesn't affect
the
us.
stall.
No. Correct.
Okay, good.
What's our liability in all this?
The liability for the borough is minimal. If the standard that the court will judge the action of the municipality, or if a municipality acted unreasonably, capriciously, or arbitrarily. So, right now, I don't want to, poison the testimony, but according to Lugara, we have a building that has got 4 walls and no roof, and the statute deems that to be a per se uninhabitable building. So, if after the hearing, the council decides to move forward with an order for demolition of that building, the demolition order cannot be any sooner than 30 days from the date of the order. And the property owner will have 30 days to challenge the order of the borough in court. If they don't challenge it, it goes through with the demolition, whether it's done by the property owner or it's done by the borough, and liens goes on the property.
Well, isn't there a section within that part of the code that essentially enables the council, if it chooses, to essentially assess fines that are essentially accumulated on a daily basis, rather than as another option?
Yes, you don't have to demolish it, you don't have to order it to be
Yeah, and I
repaired.
don't know if that was where Paul was really going, it's that we're in the bulldozer business.
Yeah,
In that business.
yeah, I was wondering what
Right.
ultimately would be our responsibility.
In essence, as I have read it, is, as council pointed out, is that the council, after the hearing, and council, you would be able to instruct better than I, but rather than just going out and essentially pursuing the demolition, I think the obvious hope is the building will be attended to by the owner.
Right.
Then the second hope is that maybe we can make an economic incentive. But the bottom line, it's been there for a couple of years, and I don't think it really fits very well within a community.
My concern is a safety issue. I mean, there's no fencing around the building, the walls are held up with 2x4s, I mean, kids can get in there and all, and they've done nothing since that building collapsed, and to me, it's a safety issue. And
Right.
there's nothing we can do to force
Well, no,
Then at
this
least
is
put
the
a
first step.
fence around the building?
Right, so, Councilman Jordan, this is the first step, we'll follow the complaint, and when I say follow the complaint, it's not in the we're not filing a complaint with the Superior Court in New Jersey. We serve the complaint on the property owner, we file the complaint against the property with the county clerk in Somerset, so anyone who is potentially buying the property, they'll run title, they'll be aware there's a habitability complaint filed against the property. That's what we mean by filing the complaint, it's not your typical lawsuit.
But I think the point that you're making is that in this section of the ordinance, it is really limited to unfit. We have a non-residential, I think it's called maintenance provision
Yeah.
within the ordinance, which is an entirely different section. So we have one for non-residential and we have one for residential. I tend to believe, and if I'm instructed properly, I tend to believe that that non-residential property maintenance code is where the relief that you're talking about could occur, while this proceeding on unfit building.
Well, it is, Mayor, it is a topic we brought up before, and there's still nothing done with that property as far as protecting people from going on the property and potential injuries.
Well-
I understand this is a different situation, and I'm glad because the building needs to go. I mean,
But I think the second thing is, and I can leave it up to the council, but I think the council could request that, Mr. Garrett go out, or Mr. Today, I don't know whose particular area that is, and look with respect to the section of the code, which is the non-residential building maintenance, and address specifically the point that you're raising, which is it's not secure, with respect to health and safety. That is clearly a second and parallel route that could be taken, but that's the pleasure of the council.
maybe Dan could, right?
Well, I mean,
do a-
I think we've gone this far, and I think I think having gone this far, I think we wanna, see where we go.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I agree, but like the mayor said, it's two different avenues.
Right.
And one, my concern is that this one does take longer than we anticipate, and it takes 3-4 months. It's still a danger issue, as far as I'm concerned, it's a safety issue. So we should run them parallel. I mean, if we can make someone put up a fence around it, at least protect the property or something, I think we should do
Very
that.
prudent.
We can do that.
Now, you have to help me out here. I know with respect to unfit buildings, we have a motion, and we're gonna have a vote after we finish discussion. Just for clarity, maybe you can help me out on the second tract, which is determining health, safety, and welfare
Sure.
relative to non-residential. Do we have to vote on
No,
that?
that's something Dan can talk to you about.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had it covered. Okay. Any further discussion? Then, since we have a motion, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Daniluk,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi.
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. The second item on the work session is the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'll be brief, not really busy this time of construction projects, but Orlando Drive Phase 3, we're going to have a second scoping hearing on the diversion required due to the Green Acres encumbrance that we have on portions of Orlando Drive. First scoping hearing, we proposed that for the 5 acres southerly of the Lowell's property be included as a diversion piece. We're still pursuing that, working with the county. The county's taking the lead in working the documents for the diversion. So the scoping hearing, the second scoping hearing is scheduled for February 26th. It will be advertised, we'll be posting notice, we'll be posting signs.
February 23rd.
23rd?
23rd, yes, Tuesday.
Okay, February 23rd. I'm sorry, that'll be the second Tuesday, right? It's the second council meeting in February. Yeah, we'll be having it here, county representatives will be here also. I think that's the best time for me to discuss what the proposed Orlando Drive Phase 3 is and show it to mayor and council before we continue with that project. So we'll keep everyone updated on that. Stonebridge, I'm still working on the release of performance guarantees. Several phases of the project we're going through. I met with the developer. Mainly punch list items pertain to landscape and some handicap communications, but we still have some outstanding sewer fees that we have to collect, as well as a couple of requirements that were in the settlement agreement for pump track improvements, and we're working on that. Items that aren't completed will ask for a second bond be posted before we release the major bond. It's about $1.6 million in bonds left on that project.
Is the relationship cooperative?
Raritan Library, it took a lot.
Is the relationship
sorry.
cooperative?
Yes, extremely, yes. No issues whatsoever. Raritan Library, PSC and G took a very long time to get back to us regarding upgrade of the electrical service. They agreed verbally last week that they will upgrade the service at no fee to the borough, which is good. We got written confirmation of that today. With that, we'll have our plans completed by the end of the week, and we'll be able to advertise for bids to include the upgrade of service within the building. Service will be upgraded 3 phases. It's only 1 phase going into that building now with proposed expansion of the library. It makes sense to raise that service. But since we had a good contact now with DSCG, we talked about that missing light on Somerset Street. There is a what they call a DR number now in place that we look at the service for that. I saw I'm taking away your agenda item, but discuss it right now. They didn't have any knowledge of it before. I know how that was called in, but now we know what the process is. They agree they're going to replace the pole also.
Do we have a time frame on that?
All right.
Do we have a time frame on the pole?
I don't have time frame yet. I'll get that back. But then that was the first step. You get this DR number in, their crews come out. You said the light's missing. They say, what about the poles? They said, well, our crews are pretty smart. They come out and fix the light. You don't see a pole, and then they put a pole in. So that was good. So at least we have good contacts in that smoothing.
Dan, I just want to make mention to the council too that I don't know what these panel upgrades for the library are. The money hasn't been appropriated.
Yes, I know, but we don't have
We will have to.
a cost determination yet either. Once I get the plans complete, I'll have a better idea what the cost is. The first step was to authorize the design to be completed, and that's what we've done. The firehouse generator, all that material's been ordered. It's quite a while to get that generator. It's not a off-the-shelf item. It's being built, and that's proceeding. I expect we'll have progress in that within the next 2 weeks. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. The next one was setting of a date for the 2016 department head budget meeting with the governing body.
Right, the mayor, you now have the departments, I've all emailed you or hard copied the departments we're going to meet with, would be court, public works, fire prevention, police and recreation. This is only dealing with their budgets, it's not the entire municipal budget. It's to plug in a preliminary number after you talk to the department head. So the suggestion I have is for Tuesday. The reason is that Council President Cara had talked about maybe Monday or Tuesday. Monday may not be good for some department heads, so my suggestion is, could you make Tuesday?
Tuesday what day?
19th?
I will be out of town.
Out of town. Well, I mean, it's if depending upon how important you feel that it you'd be there, I can
Oh, I'd like to do that.
postpone it.
I have a work meeting for 3 days. I'll be back till Thursday.
Well, Dan, when do you anticipate having the actual budget meeting itself? The actual budget, going over the actual budget itself, not till...
Well, that's not gonna be, well, in February, sometime in February.
I mean, and then, you know, like I have the recreation budget, and I looked over it, and I mean, I have questions about this already.
Right, so you do.
And like, I would like to let them know my questions before even that meeting, so they can have some.
Right, so why don't I just bring this to the council at the next meeting, next full council meeting, we'll set a date for maybe between.
Well, why do we have to do it on a Monday or Tuesday? Why can't we do it later?
We didn't, I was talking about next week, if we had it next week, to slot it in between council meetings.
Well, when are you going to your symposium?
I'm leaving Tuesday AM, and I will return Thursday PM.
So you're here Monday?
I am.
How about Monday next week?
He's just saying that wasn't working for some department heads.
Oh, some department heads.
Right.
Why are they off on Monday? Oh, it's a holiday.
It's Martin Luther
Oh,
King's
oh,
birthday.
that's
Are
all
you,
right.
are you off? Are you ready?
But the first Tuesday in February.
Like I say, why don't you all look at your
Oh, no, because it should be,
schedule,
we
and
should
then
try to do it
maybe
before,
the
well, we
next-
should try to do it before the council meeting too, so
Yeah, we
you don't
should.
have to stay, and we could do it then, get it done with. So, like in between, because I'm during a council meeting, right, you're basically done at 4:30, and you have to wait till 6:30, so if we can fit it in at that time, that would be ideal for you and Maggie, right?
No, I'd hate to.
Oh, no, this is
No,
like a
I hate to do it before council.
3-hour meeting.
You're gonna,
Like a
you're gonna
3-hour
be
meeting.
rushed.
Yeah, this is, about 3 hours. As I said, maybe after the.
I mean, I could do it on Thursday.
Over the 26th, between the 26th and the next meeting, maybe you can meet with department heads, that's another option.
Was there anybody available this week?
Getting the department heads,
You have to give each other your short
and
time.
noticing the newspaper.
Yeah, it's a public meeting, I have to notice. Let's see, next week.
Next week I can do it, I mean, I'll be back on Thursday.
Check with, for some reason, I think Denise said she couldn't make it. I'll check again, and then maybe I can email you all. Otherwise, as I said, we're gonna be meeting on the 26th, maybe the week after the 26th.
It's running a little late though, isn't it?
There's still some utilities and some other people who have, the sewage authority hasn't given me the fourth quarter. I like to get it done because it's a big piece of some of the numbers we're plugging in. But I think we can wait. Why don't we try to have it be sometime, when I meet on the 26th, maybe either the next week after that. Think about when you might be available.
25th work for you guys? People?
So it's Monday.
What's
The Monday before, you'd have back-to-back meetings, you can, that's doable if you'll have back-to-back.
Should be fine with me.
Ready, guys?
That's fine. That should be fine with me.
Right,
Six to nine, something like that,
Pardon?
6 to 9, something like that.
Right, 6 o'clock to
Well, do you wanna
begin.
do you wanna try to do it a little bit earlier?
Yeah, why don't we try? to
Again,
do it
and the
That's
reason
okay by
the reason-
me,
no,
I don't
yeah,
mind.
well, the reason I ask is because if Maggie wants to stay here, you have an hour and a half of just
Still.
sitting in your office. I mean,
It's
that's-
fine with me.
That doesn't make sense.
It's fine with me, but it's really what's convenient to you. That's
So
fine
I don't know
with me.
about,
If
I don't know
wanna
about
do
you,
it,
but if you wanna do it like 4:30, 5 o'clock, I can talk to people at work. I don't know about you either, I don't know if you guys,
And Zach's working, but 5 o'clock works for him, he says.
I'll figure it out.
5 works for you?
I can get it to work for me, yeah.
No problem.
Okay, I will call up Denise, and then if there's no problem with her, we'll make it the 25th at 5, and I'll get to the department.
Well, if she feels she doesn't have to attend, then, you know,
That's
fine.
another possibility too.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there's any-
And that was at 5?
If that's all right.
You're gonna
Yeah,
just-
I appreciate
you're
that's-
your
gonna
that's-
confirm-
that's-
consideration,
that's
but I
fine.
you're gonna
really
confirm
don't.
that to us, correct?
That's fine with me.
5 o'clock, figure 3 hours, 8 o'clock.
Very fine.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4 under work session. New Jersey Temporary Disability Insurance. Paul, Randy?
Yeah, everybody should, up here should have, a little packet here. Just for people in the audience and at home that don't know, employees of Raritan don't have disability insurance. So if they go out, they have to have, right, and Maggie's gonna help me out here, because I'll probably screw this up. Aflac or whatever, and, I personally believe that we should offer that to our employees. So, it is time sensitive, so we need to, if we don't act on it this meeting, we definitely have to act on it by the next meeting, right, Maggie? But it's preferably tonight, right?
If council agrees to move forward, then we'll need a resolution on the next step.
So, yeah, I would, like to do that. My question is, does anybody have questions up here? I believe for the first year, the cost to the borough is roughly $8,000.
Yeah, I mean, the cost is relatively inexpensive, and it does cover everyone,
Right,
correct?
and everyone has to,
Everyone.
everyone has to,
They have a certain amount of money they have to chip in, it's a small amount of money, but they do have to pay some.
For 2016, it maxes out at $60.25.
And this coverage goes after they've exhausted everything else.
All their sick
Yes,
time.
government employees are required to exhaust their sick leave
Okay,
first.
so this
before-
is the same benefit that we get as state employees, that they give us this disability insurance.
Correct.
Then it's only for catastrophic problems, heart problems, cancer,
Injuries or illnesses that are not, do not occur on the job.
okay.
And
It's-
you
it's-
must be under the care of a medical professional.
It's probably well worth it.
I don't know how everyone else, if you guys have questions, I mean, please.
I was here this afternoon, and I spoke to Megan. She answered all my questions, so.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
I was actually surprised we didn't have it.
Well, I was too, but then,
That's the understatement.
My position was, I mean, I'm maybe the target, but my position was that, since it does cost the borough, even if it's small amount, it should be negotiated with the union.
You can't, there's just not the time for that, this has to be done by the end of the month.
That's fine.
And-
I respect,
I appreciate
I'm
it.
giving you my position.
When you negotiate with the unions, you could tell them you already threw them a bone, so,
Just as-
you know.
Council is aware that I do have written confirmation from both unions that they're in agreement to the additional, because it is a additional
Correct.
payroll deduction for them.
yes.
So both, I have written confirmation from both unions that they agree to
Well,
the
I
deduction.
think if there's agreement, we should move forward with it.
So consensus of the council.
Would
is
you like, what would you like to do so you can move ahead?
Consensus of council for a
Yeah, but,
resolution?
yeah, Dan, have you reached out to Steve Glickman? Because it's probably gonna require.
Well, we know, we have the
Oh, we have
two
two
unions
letters.
have
Okay.
agreed to it, that's what he
That's
said,
what
that
you
it is
need.
a negotiable item, they have to consent to it, and they have.
See, there
Right,
is
that
no-
needs to be, that should be incorporated. You talk to Steve about how to incorporate that into the contract, or if like addendum.
That's, I mean, they're
Yeah.
giving it to us, I don't,
Well, excuse me.
we're gonna be negotiating this year, actually, with the
They
PPA.
did provide two letters, because there's a non-opt-out provision.
Right.
So they did provide two letters. I've read them, I think they were very clear and satisfactory.
No, I read them as well, and that's,
Oh,
yeah,
so
I'm not
that
concerned
covered
about,
your
I'm not concerned about the union balking at it, I'm just saying offline.
I understand what you're
about how best
saying.
they
Yeah, it should be
implement.
part of their document.
Exactly, that was my point.
So,
Can you make a motion?
Motion.
motion,
I'll make a motion that we provide, New Jersey temporary disability insurance for the borough employees of Raritan.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola,
yes.
Councilman Fooey.
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi.
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Number 6 is hiring freeze.
Fine.
I'm sorry, I apologize. 5, right? Sorry, Paul.
That's all right.
Number 5, length of time for committee/board obligations.
Yeah, I just kind of went over the numbers and some of the length of time that people have to commit to get on certain boards and committees. I think the library is 5 years. I mean, you don't get 5 years for selling crack cocaine. I mean, that's a lot of commitment. That's a lot of commitment for a person, and I think we're losing a lot of people that would like to involve themselves in local government, but don't want to commit to 5 years or 4 years because it's a long term. Council people are only 3 years, and I gotta tell you, 3 years seems like a long term. So what I'd like to do is have Dan and Rich look at all the extended amounts of time for some of these things that we find people for. And maybe if they're 4 and 5 years in length, I think we're losing participants because they're so long. People don't want to commit to 5 years, that's half a decade. And maybe we can shorten those, so make it more appetizing for people and get more people involved, so we have more people to choose from to fill some of these positions.
Right, if you just want to rehire them, just basically reappoint
Yeah,
them.
you can reappoint them, so you're not losing anything, and if you have someone that's a bad apple and you got them for 5 years, just stuck for 5 years. But my main concern is that 5 years is too long a length of time, people don't want to commit for 5 years, and we're losing a bunch of people that maybe want to get involved that don't want to because of the length of time involved. So I'm not saying we could even change it, I don't know, but maybe if we look at some of these things and maybe shorten them, it would benefit us and it would benefit them.
Yeah, some of them are statutory, some are ordinance.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
And
know
think you have
how
to
it
sort
would
of
be.
slice it up
Yeah.
and see what you can do.
Right.
Yeah, well, just something to look at.
Makes sense.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is hiring freeze, and our reorganization meeting I talked about two things. One was the lawsuit, and then the other thing was my review of the 2000, or the most recent audit, which was 2014. As I'm sure most people are aware, we did have a judgment against the borough. And while that is on appeal, and I'm not claiming to be expert on government accounting, but on the private business side, we would have to have reserves, cash or non-cash. And as best I could determine, I was not able to find, and it may not be apropos, but I was not able to find any essentially reserves, cash or non-cash, set aside. And I'm not saying that that's the way public accounting works, so please understand. But the fact of the matter is, as it sits right now, one of the things that we are confronted with is a harsh reality that we do have a judgment against us, and that judgment is under appeal. And I think that we as a governing body, much I think like you would, whether it be a company or a household, need to essentially plan on addressing an eventuality that there may in fact be a sizable number in front of you, or in front of us, to make it worse. And that falls into the harsh reality side. So the reason I put this on here is that, similar to the previous conversation on the length of time, the reality is a hiring freeze does represent just one of many possible tools that are in front of us. And rather than trying to essentially cover a much larger issue, I put on hiring freeze in essence to essentially get us focused in on the, I think, most sizable economic challenge that we may confront in calendar 2016. And so what I would like to do here is not only raise the issue of a hiring freeze, but I would also like to ask the Finance Committee that they review what are the stopgap issues so that we can begin to accumulate cash, and then report back to the council. I don't know if they're going to get back by the end of February, but I would like them to get back by the end of February, because every day, we spend money, and I think we need to figure out if and when that bill comes, how we're going to pay for it. And as I said, I haven't seen anything that is in our financials that we have any types of reserves. So relative to tonight, what I'd really like to do is essentially ask the Finance Committee to take a look at this and report back at the next meeting. Any questions?
Well, I always thought that if the suit didn't work in our favor, that there's only one place you can go for that kind of money, and that's the reserve, it's the surplus.
That's what I'm asking the Finance Committee in terms of...
We keep.
I'm just asking, and I'm not, Rich, is this something maybe we should be refraining from talking about in this way? I know that the mayor is talking about a hiring freeze, but now there's no questionings about the financing yet. Okay.
No, it's hypothetical. If it goes south for us, I mean, this is, I felt this way all along. If it goes south, there's only one place it can go, and that's a surplus. I mean, you could bond for it, you could borrow money for it. That's ridiculous. You're adding to the judgment.
The way that I look at the surplus is you basically have a surplus at the end of the year, and then you take virtually the entire surplus, and that gets plowed into your next year's budget.
Not all of it though, right, Dan? We don't deplete the surplus. We take from the surplus, put it into the budget
Material.
in order to keep local taxes.
A substantial amount is put in after each year, but a certain amount may be held back. If in fact, from the amount you regenerate in the calendar year you adopt the budget, you want to make sure that, I think what the mayor is saying is that it's being applied looking to offset other tax revenue year after year.
Absolutely.
On a compiled basis, I think that's
Yeah.
what you're, but,
Yes, and.
and I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah,
That's
but
not-
equally-
Not 100%.
yeah, that's correct. The overwhelming majority of the surplus that exists in a particular year is used in the following year. And so you sort of have a floating in and floated out. And so the issue really comes down to is essentially looking at what any household would do, is that if you have a bill coming up, essentially figuring out ways to essentially address that bill. And so that's what I was really asking the finance committee to do. If I'm reading the numbers right, I don't think the surplus in any manner, shape, or form is going to essentially address the dimension of the issue. But equally, there is really, in my judgment, and I don't want to go further into this now, but the extent of cost cutting would make it devastating to the town. So in essence, what I really was seeking to do is to have the finance committee begin to chip away at it, because I think there is a real probability that we will be addressing some number. And in essence, I've found many times is that there is no one single solution. There's several or many solutions to solving problems. And so we may have to essentially achieve savings, we may have to, if there is surplus, to use surplus, as well as other measures. But I think in January is probably a very good time for the finance committee to be looking at that and essentially get into the detail. And again, if you guys please, we could discuss that on the 25th again too. But I did want to make that as a discussion topic because it's been decided by the court where we sat, and it's a real number of some dimension, and given the size of our town, it's larger than not. So with that, I would just ask the finance committee, I believe, is you.
Second, Denise.
Dan, how much is in surplus right now?
I don't have a figure. Yeah, I don't have a
Yeah,
figure.
the year's not closed at all.
Yeah, but the number floats, it's not.
Yeah, it goes in and it goes out. I mean, that's the, you know.
And the second problem is we don't know when this is going to be oral argument and culminated, so, you know, it could be next month, it could be 6 months from now, so you don't know what the time factor is.
So, but by the same token, I think it's a good idea to start and have the finance committee do that. Okay, number 7, appointment of community development representative.
Right, technically, Mayor, there are two, one by the mayor, one by the council. For many, many years, I've had the pleasure to work with John Arecchio and Tisley Place and myself. I think we've done a good job, if I may say so. Appreciate the efforts of Stan, who's made many a presentation, the mayors who come to the meeting when the final presentation is made. So my recommendation would be to appoint myself and John Arecchio to the Somerset County Community Development Block Grant Program Committee representing Raritan. We've gotten a grant every year, and I think it's.
Motion for that?
I'll make that motion for
Okay.
Mr. Vecchio and Mr. Jackson.
Councilman Sebelia?
I'll second.
Councilman Fooey? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey.
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi.
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes,
Number 8, liaison appointments. Councilman,
that's me. Yeah, the reason I put this on is I'm on personnel along with Brianna. We had a personnel issue. And I just want everybody in the council to know that the personnel people, myself and Brianna, should know when there is something going on in the borough so that we can forward it to you guys. So that if anything ever happens, we can make a timely decision. And that wasn't the case. So I just want to bring it up to everyone's attention that if something happens with personnel, I know Brianna's new, so she knows what she knows and she doesn't know what she doesn't know. So if everyone could just give that courtesy and let people know what's going on before. So if somebody, even if there's a hearing or something, to know the lawyer was there, maybe one of us can sit in. So that's all I ask. It's more of a courtesy than anything else.
Actually, that should apply to all standing committees, really.
Yeah, the dilemma, I happened to be in the municipal building that day, unrelated to the fact that there was I don't know what it was, one of the department heads, I guess with the Department of Public Works, he contacted Denise Karen and said that he had a problem, and Denise mentioned it to me, and I said, you know, we spent a lot of money on lawsuits in this town, and I think if you put a little bit of legal effort in the very beginning, that you should do that. But the issue, and this is even with respect to Councilman Fooey's point, is that at what time does it become an issue that, in this case, was not the Department of Public Works, but it then escalated in my own judgment, and I sent you a copy, because I was here and I didn't even know who the person was, and that's not the issue here, but I did, because I was just physically here, send you a note, text it was, as a matter of fact, I ultimately sent that to you, and I stand corrected, I should have sent it to both of you. But the dilemma is that where does the department initial meeting end, and then personnel come in, and in my own personal judgment, and I think that's really the issue on the table, my own personal judgment was that, hey, as soon as that meeting was over, and it was either settled at the department level or it wasn't, then if it wasn't, then it would be escalated and shifted over to personnel.
No, well, and just so you know, when, you know, on the general orders, an F, it says act as liaison between governing body and administration on all personnel matters. All I'm saying is, there's an attorney brought in, and I don't think Rich just, someone called him up and he showed up 5 minutes later. Again, all that I'm asking for is the courtesy of knowing that if there's gonna be an attorney at a personnel matter, the personnel should know before the matter occurs, before that meeting meets. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying, and I know that people are new, and I'm just trying to let people know.
Yeah, Mayor, can I just say,
Sure.
Andy, and I think I mentioned this to him, and I also mentioned it to the council, there are some times when there's overlap, if you really think about it, public buildings versus, say, public safety, personnel versus, public works department. These are gonna happen, and I've seen throughout the years, many times, a council person may feel that they could have been included in the loop. It's going to happen. I think if you talk it out directly when it happens, could you include it? I think heading it off will work. I've seen it many times,
Listen,
and it probably will happen again.
Listen, and I agree with you, and I guess my message is to everyone is to over-communicate as don't assume that people know stuff. Over-communicate, and that's just the way it should be, because everybody should know as much as they can to make a good decision. And that sometimes doesn't happen, and that's a shame, and to me, that's unacceptable. So people need to speak up and let people know what's going on.
Both ways. Anything else?
No, the only other thing with liaison, I don't know if you want to talk about it later. We can talk about maybe a potential switch on something, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
That's it.
Good?
I'm good.
Okay. Number 9, request by Sunesis to extend telecommunications fiber in Raritan. Dan?
Right, Mayor, the Sunesis has gotten permission from us in the past to install fiber optics. They want to extend that to the Granite Place area.
Can I ask a question? Because we did it originally, it went to the school,
Right,
right?
right.
And not that I have a problem, because I know that I guess they go off the Verizon cables, but why don't they just do the whole town? Why are they doing kind of piecemeal? I guess that's my question.
Time economics, it's a good question.
Maybe threshold of subscribers, I don't know.
That's possible, could be a lot of things. They're sequencing it, why, I don't know. This way, they may have to come back again. Maybe it's not as precise as saying they know exactly where everywhere in Raritan, given their time and materials. I don't know, I'm being simplistic too, but I don't know.
I don't know, no, I'm just saying, because they were here they ran it up, I believe, like First Avenue.
Right,
all the
why
way
did
to
they
Kennedy
include
School.
now, why are they doing it almost seemingly piecemeal? It may be just the economics of the industry, I don't know.
Excuse me, do we need a motion on this?
I think that,
Or
No, so we'll reach out to
so we just
Sunesis.
conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, very fine. Okay. Because I'd like to, if we're gonna have a motion, have first, second, and discuss, but
no, absolutely.
I'm not clear. And do we need a motion on 10? Dan?
I think the police
Okay.
chief would appreciate it, is out
Okay.
of service.
Can we
He just
have,
wants to accept while his car is out of service and not really serviceable at this point, that the county.
Do we have a motion for
another-
discussion on this, since we will end up with a motion, with a vote?
Second?
Councilman Nettellock and Councilman Sebelia on out-of-service police vehicle and replacement.
That one be
from Somerset County.
substituted by Somerset County.
Okay, discussion? Chief, anything you want to say?
No, it's back.
Good. No further discussion, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi? Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Thank you. Number 11, I don't believe needs a resolution, but let's have some discussion on this then. This is the kiosk down, the Scouts project that was down by Old Town Pharmacy.
The only comment I would make is what nonprofit groups you would allow to distribute information on either kiosks or websites can sometimes get more complicated than First Peters, because there's so many worthy groups. And I've always, when we've let, for example, before I was even here as administrator, we allowed the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, provided it was a Raritan troop, to use the basement. How do you extend that, or when do you say no to some groups, and if you say yes to one, are you essentially saying yes to the other? I think it's a council decision. Different councils may have different feelings, but I've always said to the council, be cautious, tend to say no, unless it's directly, it's a direct borough group that we can palpably say, but that's just always been my advice throughout.
Well, I'm gonna chime in, because it is a direct
Sure.
group. I mean, the kids that go to that school, majority of them, if not almost all of them, maybe some from Bridgewater, are all from Raritan. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I think for schools, if schools want to do something and they raise money and it goes to the kids and it might go to someone who goes to the teacher, to me, it's a no. And I get your concern. Believe me, I understand.
It really can get out of hand when
I
you
do,
get
no.
all the not in the county too.
Listen, I get
The
that.
school.
But my thing is it's going to help out residents of Raritan, and it affects a majority of Raritan residents.
It's your call, but I still stick to my
Understand.
caveat.
Anybody else want
It
to say?
should be allowed.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room in that cost, isn't there? There's room in there. Well,
Wow.
what's in there now? All the announcements we have here?
You do.
No, I don't.
All right.
Frankie Bell used to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a question, I'm sorry.
I don't have any, no, I'm good. I just think, do we have on that kiosk, do we have like a time frame? Like if you put something up, like how many weeks before, how many weeks after, we don't really.
Well, who manages it is the real point.
Well,
Greg used to.
Greg LaBelle did. I think the key, Bobby Fulminante may have the key. I have to check with him. But you might want to assign one of your council
Yeah,
people.
but to your point,
Why don't you assign?
you're right, I mean, these kiosks,
No, because
you
then
got
they
a year
become,
old.
yeah, they could become
Right.
and I would hope that, if the PTO has a sign up there and they have an event on the 13th of January, I would hope that they would say on the 14th, hey, can you take that down? I mean, it looks bad for them too.
Maybe everything put in there should be dated, and should be a date, so
Absolutely.
next time you go in, if it's dated, take it out, so
Yeah, give them like 30 days or
you
something,
know,
whatever.
you know what the deal is.
But Dan's point is, who's gonna manage that?
Yeah. Did you want another council person to have a key and put it in, or what? I can basically ask Public Works to really put something in. It's not a problem.
I think before it goes in, it has a longevity. It has a beginning date and an ending date, was exactly what you're saying, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that way, whoever in Public Works goes in there and they go there once a week, once every 2 weeks or whatever, and essentially that way it's kept tidy and timely. Good. Number 12, speed sign on Woodmere Street.
Yeah, that's me. Dan, the speed sign on Woodmere works during the day, but at nighttime, it does not work. I've driven by at night a couple times, it doesn't work. I drove by yesterday during the day, They work during the day, but at nighttime, it definitely does not work, so maybe it's not holding a charge. I don't know, I know he spent like
Okay.
$3,000 on that sign, and it seems to be torturous ever since it was moved. So, I just want to,
Okay.
update,
Take a look at that.
13's taken care of?
yep, 13th.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
14 salary increase for mayor and council, Paul?
Yeah, I'd like to bring it up. I'm not looking for a vote, but I'm looking to just have a discussion and maybe a vote in the near future. This is a paid position in the state of New Jersey. People are paid to do what we do. There's a lot of reasons that we do get paid because we do put a lot of time in, we do work. As far as the county's concerned, for the list I just got from Jim, for all the towns listed in Somerset County, we are the lowest paid people in Somerset County. We haven't had an increase in over 10 years. I think it was the last time
Dan probably
that
likes that.
they were throwing any money at all. Really, what we get paid is not the driving factor in this job, but it does help offset the time and effort and stuff that we put in. In addition to that, we have problems with people wanting to get involved and run for mayor and run for council, and maybe if there was a little money or a little check at the end, maybe that would help incentivize some people to want to get involved. The last couple of elections we've had here, you know, aside from you new guys, you know, have been people retreads and we can't get new people involved, and maybe if there was a little money, it would help some people to want to get involved. But anyway, we haven't had an increase in 10 years. We're the lowest paid in the county. It is a job that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I think it's something we should consider. The amount of money we're talking about here is minuscule. Even if we doubled what we're making, it's still minuscule. But it's just something to think about.
What is it?
We're making $1,500 a year, which is one meal at Vinnie's a month, you know. You can do arts and crafts for recreation and make more money than we do. But it's just something I think we should think about because it's been 10 years, and it is a paid position. And it might help incentivize some people to want to run for office because we don't have a lot of incentives. And that's just something we should think about, and I'd like to bring it up at a later date.
Well, listen, I just want to chime in on this. Even if you up the pay, just for new people here, no one has to take their pay. So there's no gun to their head. I don't take a dime from the borough. I don't want a dime from the borough. So if you do decide to even up the salary, that's fine. You don't have to take any money. So, you know, I just want everyone to realize that you know, because I know the people who go, oh, you're upping your pay, you're thinking about yourself, blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, and I'm not disagreeing. All I'm saying is to anyone who comes up here, you don't have to take the borough money. If you want to, you can. If you think you deserve it, that's fine. And if you don't want it, you don't have to take it. So, I don't take it, I don't want it, and that's the way I am. And, you know, whoever wants it, that's fine. You take it, I don't care. But I understand because I know what it's like trying to get people to run. And Jim, I know you could probably say even on the other party side, it's tough to get people to run. So I don't know that that's the total answer, but it is something. It's tough, and it's something that the town's going to need to address eventually.
I've always looked at it as by us getting a small check every 3 months, technically that makes us part-time employees of the borough. So I feel like I'm working for the people who are they're paying me this little tiny amount, but it still makes me a part-time employee. I'm still working for the people. I've always looked at it as like my car expenses. I do a lot of running around town to do different things, and also that takes care of my car expenses. I'd like to point out that, you know, Paul said it was raised about 10 years ago, and you recall, before that, there was no raise in like, what, 15 years, I think it was, something like that?
1984, 85 was the one before the.
So in other words, you've only had one increase in
85, yeah.
one increase in 32 years?
This would be, if you want it labeled the first in 84, 85 is the first, this would be the third in over 30 years.
Third in 30 years, yeah. So it's not like we're going to do this every year.
It's not like we're robbing the treasury here.
And also, I would like to, well, you don't have the full council here tonight, I think it's an issue that everybody has to be here when we discuss it, because it affects.
Well, that's fine, I said for further discussion down the road, just something to think about, the facts are the facts are. This is a demanding job, you know.
I would ask you to give me some type of figure within the next few weeks for the budget too.
100,000.
Okay, no problem, no, only because I certainly would not want to put it in the budget, some figure.
My
And you
opinion
can always, as you know with the salaries too, you can always put something in the budget and then not adopt it by resolution.
My idea was to double what it is, 4,000 for the mayor, 3,000 for the council people, unless anybody else has a different idea, but it's just a pie-in-the-sky number at this point anyway.
I don't know.
I'll just say that I tend to feel more like Andy does, so whatever the number's gonna be, I'm not gonna be taking it either. I think that I'm here more of a volunteer to do my time for Raritan, for what is given to me. So I'm with, you guys
Do your time, do your time. You're good.
You guys
You're
do
good.
what you wanna do with that, but I'm not gonna take any money like Andy doesn't.
Well, that's fine.
I ought to point out that the Manville town, similar to Raritan, councilman over there is paid $4,500 a year, and the mayor gets $6,000
Franklin, it's about 10,000 a year for a
per
council.
councilman, yeah.
Anyway, they're different municipalities, so.
Sure.
No, and I don't disagree either, but don't forget too about other volunteers in the town too. So just remember when you vote, there's other volunteers like firemen who don't get paid. And I'm just
As well as
saying.
all the boards.
Yeah.
Low sap.
Well, I know, but
Depends.
they're going into a kind of a dangerous situation. So all that I say is, think about that. And again, if you have to pay, again, like I said, you don't have to take the pay. You can, you don't have to, that's up to you.
Okay. 15.
What happened with 13?
13, let's see, 13.
Can we address that
I thought
with
we
the
addressed that already.
Engineer, stand to BSC&G's
I was
on.
doing the engineer report. Okay. 15, televising council meetings on Verizon. Jim?
Yes, well, yesterday morning, we finally had 3 technicians from Verizon come here to do a site survey. It should have been done months ago. Like I said before, they've been dragging their feet on this whole thing. And they looked at the site. They can't install it in the closet like where we have the cable vision. They have to install it downstairs where the connections are for Verizon for the telephones. But that's not a problem, because they just have to run audio video cables from here downstairs. That's just not an issue. The issue is this: I don't think we're going to be able to hook into the school system, because they told me that we can't switch it on from here. In other words, for Cablevision, all I do is flip a switch and we're on.
And the school's off.
The school, now if we shared the school's files channel, the switching would have to occur, not here, but up at the school. And it has to be done manually. So we can't have, we're gonna have somebody up there for a couple hours, every other Tuesday. I'm sure the school's not gonna be too crazy about that idea either. So the only other option, as the option I wasn't in favor of initially, but now I have to, is we're entitled to get our own government channel. Cable companies, companies like Verizon, they have to provide each community, if they choose so, one channel for education and one channel for government. Now, previously, that wasn't my #1 option, because first they said it would take up to 6 months to get your own channel. Well, guess what? It's taken 6 months just to get somebody here to do a site survey. I thought we could be on Verizon, 3-4 months ago. And then there's the idea that we're not going to have enough content to fill the channel. But on the other hand, you don't have to fill a channel 24 hours. You can just have a channel. If you look at the listings of channels for files on the internet, they have like at least a dozen channels that are empty that have been designated as local, says local designation on it. And I asked the technician, what's that for? What for, any town that wants to have their own channel. The advantage to having our own channel, too, obviously, we do the switching from here. And also, if we choose at some point to run like a bulletin board, like the school does, Piscataway TV does, announcements.
Yeah, so you have shredding, recycling, tree
Exactly.
pickup, leaf pickup.
And it'll
blah,
be a
blah,
simple thing. You purchase an inexpensive computer, you create a PowerPoint presentation, and you just run it.
Good, then you can buy a Microsoft Surface, we're good.
So I'm keeping the council abreast of what's going on, this is a change, and
You know,
it just surprised me that I'm finding out now that we can't do a switching gear, we have to be able to control it. No, we wouldn't have control, we have to control it from here.
You can't do it software.
No,
So then,
no, it has to be the flipping of the switch.
Or switch.
and then you're gonna have to tell Dan if we need to get a computer or whatever for budget purposes, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about $500. Well, I'm gonna cut, the budget for televising is gonna be cut tremendously this year.
How
Last
much?
year it was 10,000 because we needed to buy a camera, but now we have the camera, so.
So now just need a computer.
Anything further?
No, I'm just, what's the
Just want
situation?
to make sure you're finished, that's all.
Okay.
Fair enough? All righty. Section 7, appointments. Mayoral appointments without consent of council. Regional Center Executive Board Municipal Representative for calendar 2016, Stan Schreck, Borough Engineer. On board, sir. Excuse me. Mayoral appointment with consent of council, Library Board of Trustees. I just want to say that this was not acted upon last time because of the activities of the superintendent over there and the activities of the school board president. And they did reach out, trying to see what their availability was. But as you know, by statute, this is a requirement, but I didn't want to essentially move it without them concurring that they had the availability of doing it. Because the other option is to get the principal that is located within the physical confines of the borough. So Emery did get back, and when she did, I passed that along to Dan and Maggie Schmidt. And so,
So she said she was good with it.
yes, she's good with it. So could I have
I'll make the
a
motion.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to put Emery Mead on the library board.
The second, please.
Second.
Second. Councilman Bray, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay, Roman numeral number 8, resolutions. Resolution number, these are all 2016-1. We're starting with 16. Do I read these?
Yes, you read the title.
Thank you. Number 16, resolution authorizing submission of the fiscal year 2016-17 Bridgewater Raritan Municipal Alliance request for application with the Somerset County Board of Chosen Freeholders in the amount of $72,417. Do I have a motion, please?
Make that motion.
Councilman Sebelia, second, please.
A second.
Councilman Giraldi. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution number 17, the budget transfers that you received in your packet. Could I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councilwoman Danila, second, please.
Second.
Councilman Bray, the new guys. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Number 18, disposition of equipment by the Raritan Police Department.
Make that motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Sebelia, second by Councilman Giraldi. Discussion, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 19, a resolution of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a license agreement for the support and maintenance of hardware and software with Spatial Data Logic, Inc. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Councilman Giraldi.
Second.
Second, Councilman Bray. Discussion, roll call.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution number 20, award a bid for transfer station disposal of solid waste. May I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councilwoman Danila, Second, please.
Second.
Councilman Sebelia, discussion, roll call?
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution number 21, appointment of the public defender. Could I have a motion, please?
Excuse me, Mayor, could you read his name, please? The name you nominate.
Uh,
Would you like me to
It's
read
not
it?
here,
Yeah.
but if you
Nicholas-
could.
Nicholas Palma
Palma.
of the firm King in Petracca.
Could I have a motion, please? Thank you. Second, Councilman Giraldi, second.
Second.
Councilman Sebelia, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 9, purchase order requests. Number 1, can we do, go to read each of these?
We have in the past.
Can I do them all at the same time?
No,
Okay. 1. Pardon me?
I wish you could.
Okay. Number 1, administration, 2016 fire and security alarm service for the municipal building by Automatic Communications Alarm in Raritan in the amount of $4,700 and $4,750. Have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Council, you can catch this without me saying it, or I have to.
Well,
All right,
I
Councilman
did,
Giraldi, Councilman Sebelia, that's enough. Let's go. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Number 2, Police Department, ballistics entry shield in the amount of $2,177.10. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councilwoman Danola?
Second.
You gotta be quicker.
Sorry.
All right. Councilman Giraldi? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Number 3, Public Works, planting of 4 trees on Somerset Street, Absolute Tree Experts LLC in the amount of $1,800. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilman Fooey?
A second.
Councilman Giraldi? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Number 4, Police Department, maintenance on a live scan fingerprint machine, Saffron Morpho Track, in the amount of $2,633.69. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councilwoman Danilock, second.
I'll second.
Councilman Fooey, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Number 5, Police Department, yearly storage unit rent for Raritan self-storage in the amount of $1,560. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Councilman Giraldi,
Second.
Councilman Sebelia. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danola?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay, old business. You have some old
Yeah,
business?
I have 2 items.
Okay.
I spoke to Dan this morning, and I understand that the documents on the Gannett lawsuit from Anderson have not been transitioned to the new law firm.
Not yet.
And
No,
I know a request has gone out.
I'm wondering what the delay is, because we need to do this as soon as possible.
My understanding is that the compilation, to get it correct, there are 4 years of
Yeah,
documents.
I thought
Well, they would have them in one file.
Yeah, they've been a box.
Maybe in the
Not
box.
necessarily, I don't know.
Maybe not.
well, the request went out last week,
This week.
if I recall seeing that. Someone copied me. And I don't know what the turnaround time is. I guess it depends on the size of course.
Maybe.
So that did occur after the meeting, and I think Dan was requested to provide a resolution so that the other lawyer had the appropriate
Well, my concern is,
authorization.
I don't want them to delay it. We need to do it as soon as possible. We have a new set of eyes to look at it.
Yeah,
We need
I
to
don't,
do that as
yeah,
quickly
I
as
don't
we
know how to
can.
speed that up.
We can send an email to Brian.
To
Anderson, come speed it up.
Oh, he's away, but that's not the
But it's
point.
not,
That's-
it's-
Yolanda's
Well,
doing
he
it.
must have other
Richard, if you
people,
wanna
sorry.
call, I mean, I've spoken to Yolanda, Stephen Davis from the DiFrancesco firm is aware of it.
Absolutely.
Yolanda said to me, that she lives in Warren, so it's not a problem bringing the materials there. Maybe you may wanna call up, I spoke with Lisa Simonetti, but that's what it is, that's what they're gonna tell you, that they're compiling the documents. It's not any unwilling.
All right, so we made a timely request, Dan sent out a timely resolution, and I don't know how to control the lawyer on the other side.
Well, I think if it gets to a point where they're not doing it, we need to press them somehow, because we need to get those documents over to the new law firm, take a look at it.
What would you suggest? Is it too,
I
are
mean,
we
it's,
overly anxious at the moment?
I think so,
Okay.
candidly. You
So-
know, it's been a week, and it was, the appendixes and the pleadings are voluminous.
Well, let's do the following then. Why don't you put it on your list, Dan, for Monday? And in essence,
Sure.
you
I'm
guys
happy
figure
to
out
reach
how
out
to
to
make it
Yolanda
work.
and just get a rough, get a time frame as when they're gonna have, it all say the council's anxious, and can she give us, an ETA as to when that's gonna be? I can certainly pass it on to the mayor and council, I'd have to do that,
Does that
but.
work?
Yeah, I mean, I just
Okay.
don't want them delaying it, you know.
Yeah, we should have
sometimes
a
they-
time
They
frame.
were very slow in getting things done, so.
Yeah. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Fine? Okay, second thing, Dan?
Second thing I had is to Jim, calendar.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it too.
There you go.
What are you gonna do about it? What direction you want to, you
Well,
mentioned last month.
my only input in that was, since we talked about it, and you had most of it done already, is that we extended to an 18-month calendar instead of 12, because we have the merchants paying for that, and you've gotta hit them up every year, and we're already into January. So it's just a matter of money.
I mean, have you guys decided that we really need a printed calendar?
Well, there's money,
We have money already put in.
there's money that's been put in there, I think it's,
So $4,000.
yeah, it's almost
It's
$5,000.
It's dedicated. for-
It should have been there 2 years ago, right, I think?
Yeah, we haven't had a printed calendar since March.
Do we know where the money came from?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
Tom
I think there's a
Fonzie collected
threshold.
it from the merchants in town for our calendar. We didn't produce it.
Yeah, it wasn't, people donated money for the calendar.
So we gotta make
They
it
basically paid for
count.
advertising and never got their advertising.
We have to do it. We took it on.
So my
But I
thing,
think on a go-forward basis, we should think about whether we want to do that. I mean, $4,000.
Well, for now,
well, no, I get what you, no, no, I
for
get
now,
what
we
you're
have
saying.
to produce a calendar. We took the money from the merchants, we told them we were gonna produce a calendar. It's with
Who
the-
has this one, if I may ask?
Dan has it under his desk.
The borough.
Right, okay,
Borough.
all right, fine, fine.
Okay, well, the idea was, also, you have to keep the calendar on the website updated. I mean, I've spoken to Maggie about this. Part of the problem is the department, the various departments and committees have to send us their schedule. They have to tell us what day, right, Maggie? They have to confirm.
The borough, the boards and committees, yeah, I don't have all of their calendars.
Yeah, see, there's a real issue on this whole thing, and I think the council, and maybe this is the appropriate time, is that you probably saw a note coming out from Maggie Schmidt this week about getting minutes and agendas sent to her so they can be put on the website. And frankly, when I was trying to understand what was going on in the town, the fact of the matter is, with the exception, frankly, of this body, the availability of minutes was terrible. And so that's what that's about, but I mean, this is really where the liaisons can really help a lot, because in essence, I think Dan and Maggie have things to do, and I think the liaisons are the people that essentially are in communications with these. And so please impress upon the respective people that you're dealing with,
Yeah,
and say, hey, get it done.
I agree with you, but, and I know some departments, in the past, the problem was, is they didn't have enough people go to a meeting to have a quorum.
That's fine.
No, to vote on the minutes. So then they
Yeah,
can't
that's
release the
fine.
minutes.
That's
So,
fine. But I'm not talking about weeks, I'm talking about quarters.
no, well, what I'm going with is
They didn't have
there's some chronic attendance problems on some boards that needs to be addressed. I think it was an environmental, Jim, that we took some people off because they didn't show up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I just think moving forward, we need to hold people accountable. If you want to be on a board, you need to show up.
And I think that.
And that's, we have that
in
on the book, so we need to hold people accountable, so.
Fair enough.
But that's not to do with the printed calendar, though.
No,
Well, it
no,
really has to do with the, well, what Jim
Well,
was getting.
actually,
it
yes.
kind
Yeah,
of,
what you were
does,
saying.
because if you want that calendar,
I need the
people.
dates, I need the actual meeting
That's
They
right.
dates.
can't vote, they don't have a
For the
quorum,
whole year.
because people, if they don't show up, then you can't get any information, you can't get anything done.
So it's 2 years in arrears already, so.
Well, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, so if you start in April and extend it, and then you give them time in the beginning of the year to do
Yeah, I
it.
mean, listen, we promised the merchants, we took their money, we're gonna produce a calendar, we have to produce a calendar.
Well, that's true, but if Jim doesn't have the data.
Information, you can't
well,
do
where are you
it.
going?
Right,
Well, I've been getting help from Bruce Early, who's an expert on Microsoft Publisher, which I'm not. And we were about halfway through it. And Paul suggested you might want to farm it out, you said?
Well, Denise suggested that maybe you wanna farm it out, but she's not here, I don't know what she had in mind, but she did have something in mind, you might wanna talk to her, maybe she had an idea to expedite it.
well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
the other thing is, just so you know too, with the calendar is, with mailing, because I assume you're gonna go to the post office, talk to Cindy Weiss down there and make sure there's a certain size requirement, and if you don't meet that requirement and you make that calendar, it will never go out, so.
Jim, maybe for the next meeting, and I don't know why you're in the middle of this,
Well,
very honestly.
it was late on him last time.
Yeah, it was late on
And
him.
then we delayed it.
I'll tell you
and-
afterwards.
It's a long story.
Well, but yeah, but
Yeah.
if you could basically, for next time, say where you are and what's left to do. And then what your recommendation is, whether you do it, Bruce does it, Mr. Doyle does it, or you farm it out. And then that way we're all, and your data needs, so what is the need gap? You know, where you are now, and what do you need to get done? And then is it your judgment that you and Bruce Doyle should do it? Or is your judge, and then just bring it back and let's sort of move on, because I had heard of this, I never knew where the money was, but I like it under Dan's mattress. so-
Well, the one thing I wanted to do, which can be done, should be done very quickly, is the website calendar. People can access that anytime they want. And unfortunately, we're not getting the
But she has the
dates.
same problem you have.
Same problem, getting the list of meeting dates for these committees.
Yeah, and that falls back on us as liaisons.
But ultimately, what I want to do, once we have the calendar done, also have it in a PDF format that people can just download.
I understand, oh,
And make
I
it
fully
as
understand.
simple as
Oh,
possible.
absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, let's move on from that, I think we have what to do for next time. Anything else under old business?
No,
Okay. Public comments,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Committee liaison, I figured we were so early. Do we have any committee liaison reports as of yet?
I don't have
some
that.
Yeah,
stats.
I mean,
I just have the health and stats from December 2015, the money club and stuff. So for the Board of Health for the month of December 2015, a total of $204 in food licenses and food handlers. And from the Office of Vital Statistics for the month of December 2015, 2 marriage license, 27 marriage certified copies, and 270 death certified copies for a total of $1,153.
275?
270 death copies, certified death.
Oh, copies.
Copies.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not 270 deaths.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports?
I just want to, kind of piggyback on him, we have a rabies clinic Saturday night? Is that
Saturday.
correct? I just wanted to let people know that there's a rabies clinic free, so
Fair enough.
get some shots.
Any, item 12, public comments again? Seeing none, item 13, let's move for adjournment, we'll have the motions.
Motion.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.